the last 5 years have been the biggest opponent. Has been an incredible and marvelous, contender with good games. And but I said many times the opinion about Liverpool, how admire the way they do, how good they are, but in the same time, I enjoy a lot this challenge, and I'm very pleased to leave that on Sunday and next week. And Jurgen has been, as a manager, the biggest rival I ever had in my career. And I think what both teams propose is good for the football, because both teams want to try to be ourselves. Will be an incredible test. And we are ready for the challenge.
Our history with City shows that very often. It was pretty interesting watch, because both teams really go for it and want to create, want to use, want to create opportunities, want to create chances, want to use momentum, want to use gaps, situations, all these kind of things. So that's why I expect a interesting football game, to be honest. I watched a lot of football in my life, but I cannot now not say that I was always in the subject. The detail that I can say, that's the biggest I know about big rivalries. It's cool. It's cool. The last 4 years or whatever, since we stepped up a little bit and could close the gap to City slightly, it's interesting. Absolutely, we push each other on incredible point tallies. Madness. I would have never thought that these kind of things are possible, and especially not in this league. So the consistency both teams showed in that period is absolutely crazy. We had our top year where we won the league, where obviously City could not. There was a little gap, and then obviously there were years, especially last year, when there was the gap again big, because we had our problems. Apart from that, it was always close, which I like.
Well, we talk about the rivalry between the two clubs, but the rivalry between the two managers has become quite amazing as well, as you can see there. There is literally nothing to separate them from each other when you look at the matches they've faced against each other in all competitions. And there will be so many arguments, Alan, about who's better than who. But ultimately, are we seeing right now the two best managers in world football?
Yes, I've no doubt about that. What these managers have done for their clubs is they've produced some football over the past few years that has just been totally outrageous. The standard of football that these two have given us has just been magnificent. We've been lucky enough to see Man United when they won the treble, and Arsenal the double in '98. But the standard that these, week after week, the way they've pushed each other, where they've taken each other to the top to try and emulate each other, has just been magnificent. And for the neutral, for us, it's been great to watch.
To be the best, you've got to beat the best, and it seems as though they're head-to-heads against each other. We've seen that we've been blessed to see it for a number of years in the Premier League now, Tim.
They drive each other on, and they can't. I think the in-house competition, which has to be strong, just keeps them hungry. I think the managers are so driven, and they make the players driven. You know, it must get a headache every day when they come away from that training field, because they cannot. If they don't put the foot right to the pedal, they will just get dropped out of the side and never be seen again. You see with Jurgen, I'd be interested to know from Alan which team you'd rather play for. I mean, for me, I have an idea. I'd love to have played in that Man City side, the way that, you know, sitting in front of that back four and giving it to the players in front of me. But for you, Al, I mean, who do you want to play for?
I don't think it matters whether you're on the end of Trent Alexander's balls through or crosses into the box, or Kevin De Bruyne from the other side. I mean, it's just, I don't think it matters. And I said it maybe a year or so ago. Any goal scorer on that Man City team, an average goal scorer should get in between 30 and 35 goals. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
So if Kane would have gone there, Al, I mean...
if Kane had gone there, he'd been looking at 40, 45 plus goals. I'm certain of that, because of the chances that they do.
That's why I couldn't realise why he was trying to push his way to Man City so much. But without doubt, these managers, I mean, they both created the best Premier League teams for their clubs we've ever seen. Well, Man City goes without saying. But Liverpool, it's an argument to say, is this the greatest Liverpool side ever? I mean, when I was coming through, played against one what I thought was incredible. I haven't played against his team. And when I watch them play, I don't want to play against them because of the intensity they play with and the firepower they have in forward areas. But I think there's an argument to say the greatest, these two managers are the two of the best managers. I think Pep's the greatest coach we've ever seen in the Premier League. I think Sir Alex Ferguson has to say is the greatest manager. Different facets to it. But he's not far behind him, Jurgen Klopp.
And the way they're at it, you know, it is relentless.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got different styles, but what they do similar is the way they go after teams, the way they press when they haven't got that ball, and to do that every single week, week after week, month after month, year after year, to have the desire to wake up every morning to say, yeah, I'm going to be at it, because the manager, that's what both managers demand, that they do it in the week and then they also do it when it matters in the game. So to have that drive and the personality and the desire to do that, I think it's just amazing.
We watch the Premier League week in, week out. So we watch Manchester City and Liverpool every single weekend, and we get to see the way these coaches coach their team and how they set up. But how is the rivalry between the two seen across Europe?
Well, I think a lot of people are jealous, and rightly so, to have not just those two teams, but to have Pep and Jurgen in the Premier League and not in Serie A or in La Liga or in Ligue 1 or in the Bundesliga. Well, the Bundesliga, they've been together there before, but I think the rest of Europe is watching. Everybody will watch on Sunday. Everybody is watching, thinking, I wish we had that in our league, really, because the boys are right, it's the consistency. I mean, if you look since the 18th season, it's 338 points won by City and Pep and 337 points. How are you on just 1 point between them two?
It's amazing.
In 4 seasons. This is incredible. And if you look at the number of goals, it's pretty similar. Goals conceded, press is similar. And then we go again into slightly different styles. But they're either top or second in press and counter press and ball recovered and shots allowed and all of that. It's incredible.
And what's so impressive about the rivalry is that they actually have so much respect for each other. Pep Guardiola says Klopp is the biggest rival he's had in his career. And Klopp said, as you mentioned, Tim, that Pep Guardiola is the best coach ever.
And Pep said he's not, but you would expect that from Pep, because but he knows he is. Without doubt, I think he's the best coach I've ever seen. The training ground coach, I think he's a dream for any player to play, and privileged enough to play in one of his sides. If you come into the end of your career, you know, he's one to learn off. You know, you're going to need it, and he says that constantly about, you know, the money what the owners have spent there have given him the opportunity to be successful. And he's not shy in telling everyone that. He knows he can't do it but he still needs to get over the line. That puts pressure on. When you spend money, as the pressure then comes, you need to keep winning, and he needs to do that. Listen, the Premier League can go either way for me, but they've done it. Like when we talked about when Man United were chasing us, they probably thought they were going to overcome us because we hadn't done it before. But now it's a different kettle of fish. They've already done it, Liverpool. Before, when they were chasing them, they knew they hadn't had that experience of getting over the line. But now they've both won it. And Man City need to win the Champions League. Jurgen Klopp's already done that at Liverpool. So I've just wondered, in this running, forget this game. This game, they're going to go toe-to-toe. It's going to be, no one's going to give a yard. But over the period of the games coming left, is the mental block for Man City, the desire to want to win the Champions League, is that going to pay? Is it going to play a part? I think it possibly might, as we come to the nitty-gritty. If you need to rest De Bruyne in a game, or Bernardo, whoever the superstar is at the moment, because they've got so many, I think that they could prioritise the Champions League over the Premier League, and I think that might be the difference. Having said that, if they win this game at the Etihad on Sunday, then I think it's over. I think
there's without doubt a huge amount of respect there from both sides, because I think it's tougher managing and coaching nowadays than it ever has been, because of the egos, because of the complexities, because of how difficult it is. You've got to be a dad, father to 25 guys. You've got to understand what he makes him tick, how they get the best out of him. You've got to leave him out, and then you've got to rely on him they've got a bigger squads than they ever have done. I know that the games come thick and fast, particularly for these two clubs towards the back end of the season, but the way they manage all of that, I just think is remarkable.
I think, sorry, Jules, I was going to ask Julian, because he watches the European game all over different countries. There must be some sort of jealousy of not only what they're achieving, but how they're going about it.
Yeah.
I think they've got mutual respect for each other. The fact that they both play attacking football. There's this slight differences in how they go about it. I think it's quite frantic if you're a Liverpool player. You want to get forward nice and early. I think Man City could probably do both. They can control the game and counter-attack with the best. But they're exciting. I mean, we watched a Champions League game against Athletic Madrid who come to Man City. It was like Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it was like anti-football.
They didn't have a shot.
It was anti-football, and it was not good to watch. Now, I think that there's been successful managers in the past, and these guys will have respect for them, but not as much as respect to how they went about it. The likes of Jose Mourinho, for instance, Rafael Benitez, they have to give them the respect because they have won. But it was the defensive way they got about it. There's no right or wrong way, but there's an attractive way to play. And the way we want to watch as pundits, and certainly the neutrals, surely has to be, you want a season ticket at Man City or Liverpool rather than Jose Mourinho's Chelsea or Inter Milan in the past, or one of those sides. I certainly would.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Champions League as well there, Tim. To get Jules' thoughts on the situation with Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, because a couple of seasons ago there was talk about him potentially leaving. Do you think part of the reason why he stayed is because of this rivalry with Jurgen Klopp and how they've continued to push each other? This rivalry with Jurgen Klopp and how they've continued to push each other. Do you think that played a part?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's very happy in a club that is built around him as well. Everybody at every stage of the club or every floor of the club, from the top to the bottom, is all about Pep. They're all his friends. Chiqui Begarishan, of course, Ferran Soriano, the two bosses really, and then everybody does what Pep says. So it's very much his club, and I think he likes that. This is the longest he's ever stayed. More than in Barcelona, more than in Bayern. And I think the Champions League is really the objective. Just to go back on, Europe are jealous of the way they play. And I think there's three big criteria on how you judge a manager. The first one is the titles, and they've won plenty. The second one is the style of football, and for that, they both, in a way, have been part of a style of possession football. And the third one is how much they improve their own players. Look at what Pep has done with Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and pretty much every single player he had under him. And same with Klopp. Fabinho, Salah, Jota, Mane are superstars now when they arrive from Roma or Southampton or Monaco as good players, but not world-class players like they are now. And for me, this is the most impressive. Even now, I'm sure Pep and Jurgen will make them two world-class players.
Yeah.
And I think this is just incredible.
It's something that the fans love. Improve young players, but improve any players in the squad, but also bring young players through as well.
Yeah, you've got to have that connection with the football club. I think it would be pretty pointless if you had a youth system, but you weren't prepared to give people the opportunity to say, if you're good enough, you're going to get in this team. I mean, the money that both clubs have spent has been unbelievable. There still has to be an opportunity for someone who's coming through to be given that chance, and that's the way you associate with that club and with the fans understanding who and what you are in that particular area. And I think both managers do that incredibly well.
Knowing what we know about both of these managers and all of the times they've met each other before and how it's set up in the table with Liverpool a point behind him, what kind of approach do you expect? Let's first of all talk about Liverpool's approach from Jurgen Klopp.
I don't think we'll see any different. I don't think neither of these managers or teams will take a backward step. I think they have the confidence in the group of players to be able to go and really penetrate the opposition. I think Man City, that goes without saying, I think Pep will never change, certainly at the Etihad. I think if they play, they win the game, if they take their chances. It's all about taking the chances.
Manchester City, you mean?
Both teams, really.
Okay.
I mean, I think the more clinical strikers in the teams are with Liverpool. Will they have the ball enough? Will they create enough? I think Man City will be creating more chances. It's just who takes their chances at the time and how they cope with going ahead or going behind. They need to keep it nice and level. It's such a frantic game. It's we're building it up as a winner takes all. They're playing it down, these two managers, and rightly so. That's the way they should play it down. But it really is a decider. I mean, we can't dress it up any other way. It's so exciting to watch. Everyone wants to be seeing it. No one's going to be watching the Masters. Everyone's going to be watching the apart from Mal.
I'll have two screens on. Do you think there has been not so much because of the way Man City have played, but certainly was in a centre forward, and that centre forward was Harry Kane. You get to the business end of the season, these big games, the big games in the Champions League that make all the difference. Do you think that this is the time where you might look at it and say, you know what, this is where Man City may just need that world-class centre forward?
You know, this is the first season since Pep arrived that Liverpool have outscored City in the Premier League. It's not much, 77 goals scored by Liverpool, only 70. But every other season before, City were always scoring more than Liverpool. And maybe this is part of the problem. 4 games in the Premier League this season where City didn't score a single goal. Only 1 game for Liverpool. They find a way, Liverpool, even when they're not playing great, there's someone on his own will do something, whether it's Salah or Mane or Luis Diaz now or Jota. And I do agree with you. I think City at times have struggled to break teams down, especially the low block. That won't be the case on Sunday because it will be open like we saw in the reverse fixture. But you're right. I think he can deny it as much as he wants.
Just against the better opposition, when it means that little bit more, when teams are that much better at this stage of the season, when you're in the latter stages of the competition, I just wonder whether they just missed that little bit of know-how in front of goal with that top class centre forward, and obviously I don't think that will be the case for Liverpool because the options they've got in forward positions is ridiculous.
But that's why he tried so hard to sign Kane, and that's why they're trying so hard to sign Haaland for next season, for the same reason.
OK, well, that actually takes us nicely on to focusing on the players now, because we've heard from the managers. So now let's listen to a man who lit up the reverse fixture at Anfield with one of the goals of the season.
In that level with the other team and just compete all the time. We just need to enjoy we always trying to win each game, not just last 10 games, but I think last 10 games, and as you can see now, it's just 1 point, so hopefully we just keep carrying on until the end of the season. I saw my game improving, I can say, but before also, like, it was last season or season before, I had also 10 goals, I think 19 goals, like 10 assists. My first season also was 10 assists, so I'm always trying to score goals. I feel a lot of improvement as well with the ball. So it's, but as I go back to what I said before, the most important thing is to help the team to win games and trophy, which is the most important thing. So which I think I'm trying my hell to do that.
Well, he's an extraordinary player. Would you say he is right now the best in the world, Tim?
I think he's having a wee dry spell, nothing to worry.
Dry by his standards.
Nothing to worry about. But yeah, certainly one of the best players in the Premier League at the moment. And if you're one of the best players in the Premier League, you have to be one of the best players in the world because it's the best league in the world. Incredible. Turns up on big occasions. We saw on the reverse fixture there. That goal was just incredible, wasn't it? I mean, he doesn't know which way he's going to go. He twists, leaves bodies on the floor. It's just a wonderful striker. But like I say, the biggest thing is he's not a flat track bully against the smaller sides. He turns up on a big occasion, and I expect him to be very prominent on Sunday. It
was a 2-2 draw in the reverse fixture at Anfield, and Mo Salah was just one of the players who was on the score sheet that day. Did that goal, was it more impressive, Alan, because it was against Manchester City? Because we saw that he did practically the same thing against Watford in the next match, but was it because it was Man City?
Yeah, absolutely, because you want the big players to perform in the biggest of games, and that was, and for someone to show that brilliance, that skill, I mean that ability is just incredible. The way he goes left, right, off the way he did. Do not be surprised if he was to do something similar and find the back of the net on Sunday, because the best players turn up in the biggest and best games. And I know he hasn't scored as many of late, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was on the score sheet Sunday. You said with his weaker foot as well, Jules. Yeah. Does a player like Mo Salah have a weaker foot?
He has, certainly him, yeah. Like Messi, I think those purely left-footed, but that's what I think does Laporte in that movie. Laporte is convinced he's going to shoot with his left, and then that little hook takes him onto his right, and no one believes. I don't think even Ederson in goal that he can. He said that Mo Salah is the best player in the world right now, but I can't do that. Contractually, I have to say that Benzema and Mbappe has just a little bit over, you know.
Especially
finally, it's here. We've been looking forward to this game as much as looking forward to the summer. Manchester City against Liverpool. We'd love to hear your views, thoughts and opinions on the big one. Get in touch with us using the hashtag weekend warm up. Don't be shy, because these two aren't going to be shy. I'm putting you straight on the spot. You've done your warm up. Okay. You've done your research.
Yeah.
Leroy, who wins this game? Don't look at him.
Don't look at me.
Man City. Man City win the game.
Why?
It's interesting. Jurgen Klopp said that at the end of this game, to beat Man City, you have to be perfect. By the way, to beat Liverpool, you have to be perfect. And I just feel that the form that Man City have shown in recent games, the couple of clean sheets, De Bruyne coming into form, I think they can produce that perfect performance to beat Liverpool. I may be wrong, but I honestly feel...
What, you doing one of mine? It could be a win, could be a lose, could be a draw.
I could be wrong, but I just feel that Man City might be in a slightly better place than Liverpool.
I mean, I'm going to go Liverpool.
Yeah.
And my reasons are 10 wins on the spin, 18 clean sheets out of 30.
That's not bad.
They are brilliant. And I'll go back to that Arsenal game last month when they were tested. And that was a serious test for them. And then all of a sudden, Jurgen Klopp turned around and went, Firmino, Mo Salah, on you go. The strength of that squad and trying to predict what their 11s are going to be, there's going to be some serious players on the bench.
Oh, it's going to be exceptional, isn't it? OK, so second question. Mm-hmm. Whoever wins this, do they win the title?
If Man City win it, yes, they do. I think the gap then is maybe just too much for Liverpool to make up. If Liverpool win it, I think it's still open.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair, you know, because then it's just a one-game swing. But if Man City go to 4 points clear with 7 games to go, I can't see Liverpool overturning that.
I concur. It would be a body blow for Liverpool, and that's what they've got to try and manage. Do they go to the Etihad to win the game, which I'm pretty sure they will? But in a certain point, whatever the scoreline might be, if they're winning, if they're drawing, wouldn't be the end of the world to come away with a draw. But if City go 4 clear, that's a body blow for Liverpool.
So here's the thing, right? We only have a title race at the beginning of April because of Liverpool's form since the middle of January, where they have been impeccable. 10 games on the spin. However, guys, they were 14 points behind, albeit they had 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
They were 14 points behind. Don, Leroy, I know what you're going to say, but I have to ask the question. At that point, did either of you think that Liverpool would get it back to where we are?
Yes, I did.
Did you?
I was consistent. I said that.
Yeah.
2 games in hand. We know what the Premier League's like. It's not like you can give City a 14-point lead and expect them to be flawless, because you go through that Christmas period where there's a million games in December and into Jan, and it's hard. It's taxing on the legs. It's taxing the mental side of the game. And then once Liverpool win 1 or 2 games in hand and that points tally comes a little bit slower, a little bit closer, the pressure then goes on to Man City. And then Liverpool claw it all the way back to 1. I was consistent and I was confident they could get it back. It was just in the manner how they done it was being exceptional.
And I think the biggest difference now is Jurgen Klopp has had a full squad to select from, and that's massive for him at this stage of the season.
It is massive. You know, I'll be honest. I was saying that they couldn't get close to Man City, but I was saying that they could get close to City, but I didn't really believe it. In all honesty,
Whoa. Hang on. So you said it.
I said it,
but you didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? I was trying to copy you, Don. But I have to say, it's not only like since mid-January, but you know what? The impact that Diaz has had on the squad as well has been important as well. Every single player. You know, Jota's been terrific.
Both Diaz. One Diaz coming in, one Diaz going out.
Absolutely, the impact has been terrific from Luis Diaz, and he most probably won't play this weekend. So look, now it's happened. I'm not surprised because this Liverpool side is so good, and they've been so good under Jurgen Klopp in so many ways.
And you've got to
but
go
when
back.
they come under pressure, Don, that's when they deliver.
And you got to go back to that difficult period. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the 14 points, it was the African Cup of Nations going on as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how Liverpool got those players behind the scenes to then go straight into that first team and make sure you secure some results to the lads come back was incredible.
Well, especially when Salah and Mane, they're contesting the African Cup of Nations, they're playing every single game, they're going to penalty shootouts, thinking they can't cope with that. They're 2 best players, but again, Diaz and Jota cope with that, and then they come back. Is Salah going to play? Of course, he's straight back in, off and running. Mane, they've got to go back off again for World Cup qualifiers. Well, they come back, they go and do it again.
And the job that Jurgen Klopp's probably done, particularly with Mo Salah, more so than Mane, because of the trophy that he's won and the World Cup qualification, where Mo Salah's had 2 bad ones, isn't he?
Yeah.
2 horrendous ones for him, losing out in the final, not making it to a World Cup. So the
the man management towards Mo Salah had to be spot on.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the managers. It's now time to check in with the managers ahead of Sunday's showdown.
I have to talk to them. He helped me, his teams helped me to be a better manager.
I couldn't respect him more. It's not possible. For me, he's the best manager in the world.
During the last 5 years, every single year we were there.
Wow. Two of the best teams, yeah, for sure.
What is sure is the Liverpool and Man City in the last years, we raised the bar, we raised the targets like a Premier League had before, that's for sure. We push each other a lot, and I think the other teams, they realize they have to push more to chase us, so that is the truth.
Look, if I would be a different person, I would be probably a little bit depressed about the fact that Pep Guardiola is constantly coaching these kind of teams. Maybe we could have won more titles with Dortmund if Pep wouldn't have been at Bayern. Now he has pretty much the same. Imagine they would not be here. We probably would have won at least one more league title. But I'm not like this, thank God. So I'm completely happy with our situation, but I respect a lot what they are doing, to be honest. It's an insane football team. And for me, the world best manager. So that's a combination which makes it quite tricky.
When we were 14 points against Liverpool, even myself, I could not believe it because I know what opponent we're going to face is Liverpool. It's maybe one of the best teams in decades in this country, in Europe. So I know it. The reality is 1 point right now, or we can 1 up or 2 or 3 down. This is the normal, the reality. So this is what I have to be. And again, it's an honor to be there, to fight for, to beat them and win the Premier League.
Obviously, Man City is a pretty good football team, and that means, of course, there's a rivalry. Thank God there's a rivalry.
For me as a manager, I said he's the best contender I ever faced in my career.
If you want to beat City in the league, I think I said once you have to be close to perfect. I think you have to be perfect meanwhile. There's just no space for any kind of little drops or failure or whatever. But the good thing is, when we created something, a mentality or whatever, if you want to beat us, you have to be close to perfection as well. And that's good. That's really good. And it's important. And I really think people would say our job is to win trophies. I think it's slightly different. That's the icing on the cake. Our job is actually to entertain people.
What I'm proud of most is the fact that, I said before, that this consistency in every 3 days during 5-6 seasons in this country. I said many times, so just take a look. Just take a look, the winners of the Premier League the year after what happened. And they dropped massively. They were not able to, again and again, in all the competition, the Carabao and FA Cup, even in Champions League, going there in group stages and in every single day were there. All the teams after Champions League, winners Premier League, they drop. This is I think the biggest success of this club. Miles away to win the Premier League, or of course the dream to win the Champions League or the titles, is always being there when you arrive in the last stages. And this is so difficult, my friend. This is so difficult.
We are a good football team as well. So, but we are different. But we developed together, and that makes it so enjoyable and makes it so satisfying and great in moments. That doesn't mean, obviously, we failed already big because of not becoming champion for 1 point or 11 inches or whatever. That's not nice, but it shows you are on the right way, you're on the right path, and it's really cool. It doesn't give you any kind of guarantees, but it gives you the chance. And in life, you never need more than a chance. If you have a chance, I really think you should give it a go, and that's exactly our situation. There's no pressure, it's just opportunity. So let's go for it and let's see where we will end up.
I'm pretty sure all the people will be watching that game.
Is it live everywhere? This is the most difficult game in the world of football.
Since many years, we try to compete against this legendary club. For us, it's an honor. Hopefully for them too.
Who? Yeah. Oh, good. I want to make a joke, but it didn't work.
Thank you. See you on the grass.
Two exceptional managers who have two exceptional squads to select from, and we've handed you boys the task of selecting who the starting 11s might be for both. And if you just look at the matchups, Leroy, it's incredible.
It is incredible, and I think Don had an easier task than me. Usually it's Man City is easy to pick, but I had a real problem here. I think Ruben Diaz has been ruled out, so I think John Stones will play centre-half, even though I think Nathan Hackey's done really well, really has lifted his performances. Kyle Walker's fit, which is, I think, massive for City. It means that John Stones doesn't have to go and play out there, so he gives them strength, and he gives them pace and power and know-how and experience. The midfield, I think, picks itself. I think that's, for the big games, that is City's best midfield. Bernardo Silva, he seems to, have an extra bit of rocket fuel on his back when he plays in these games. Yeah. Rodri and De Bruyne, who's at the top of his form, we'll speak about him a little bit later. The front three was really difficult for me. But I think these are the players who are in top form. I thought Sterling against Burnley was terrific, even though he played down the right-hand side. I think Mahrez has been terrific, and he's the sort of player that could cause Andy Robertson a few problems at left-back. And this guy, I just think he's going to be an incredible footballer. And I think for the big games, when he plays in that false nine position, not only does he give you a goal threat, but he also supplements the midfield. He gives control of the ball, control of the game to City. He plays with De Bruyne, and he understands the role absolutely perfectly. And then you look at their bench. Look, it is so strong. £100 million Gundogan, who scores goals. You've got Zinchenko, who's a regular last season. Then you've got a couple of young lads, Fernandinho, with vast experience, to an outstanding squad. But I think that'll be the starting 11, Don. What about Liverpool?
I think my team, or Liverpool's team, from Jurgen Klopp's point of view, is a pretty easy one to pick, especially at the back and midfield. I think this back five picks itself. There'll be no changes. I think that's his strongest three. I mean, I've got a doubt over Jordan Henderson. It might be Naby Keita, the form that Naby Keita is in. But I think he might go with Jordan Henderson's experience, Fabinho, Thiago. The top end of the pitch now starts getting interesting for Liverpool. Many people think that he might go with Diaz, and he might, I could be wrong, or Firmino instead of Jota. I think when Jurgen Klopp's picking this team to play against Man City, I think he's looking at individuals, and he's looking at the quality and the individuals of Man City. So I would expect Mane over Diaz. In his first game, Diaz to go up against Kyle Walker, not played in this fixture before, is hard. He'll know what to get out of Mane going forward and defending, so he knows that's a good matchup. Mane can take care of Walker. Salah's not an amazing form, and he's had a couple of knocks, as I said, but in this fixture he scored a worldie in the reverse, as did Phil Foden. The interesting one is it going to be Jota or Firmino? I think Firmino now is rivaling Jota for a start. I've just got the feeling that Firmino might be the player, if Liverpool are hanging on to a 1-0 lead or a 1-1 draw, whatever the scoreline might be, in the last half an hour to try and secure possession. But I think early on, I think Jota will play to try and get at Laporte and John Stones and use his pace. Absolutely, and you haven't even mentioned the bench, because all of a sudden Liverpool's bench looks incredible, doesn't it, Seema?
It's incredible. And actually, you said about Diaz, he started, didn't he, against Benfica, so that was already sort of a sign that he might start.
And one player I don't think will start, and I'm not going out on a limb here, seems, is James Milner at right back.
Oh, okay.
Because he should have been sent off in the reverse fixture. So that's where probably James Milner will be, or coming off the bench using his experience.
It continues this weekend. Look, we cannot wait, and we've spent a long time, whilst that VT was going on, looking at these players and saying, well, who's going to be up against who? Who's going to win these battles? So come on, Don. What's the first battle you're looking out for this Sunday?
Well, with the way Pep picks his side, we know he's going to go with the false nine, depending on who that individual is, whether it's Gundogan, Sterling, Foden, Mahrez. So I'm looking at that position there for Liverpool. And I think that's the most important area. If Man City get Phil Foden in these sort of areas, that could be key, or Gundogan, Sterling, whoever plays that false nine. That's why I think Fabinho's role in this team is so important for Liverpool. The king of breaking things up, the king of knowing where to be positionally. Passing, excellent. He can release the front men as quick as possible, but defensively, he's got a really important role to play.
I agree, Don. I think that midfield battle is key. Look, we all know about the top end of the pitch. They've got some amazing players, but if you can't get good possession of the ball, you can't get the service into those front lads. I mean, Jordan Henderson, a little bit of a doubt as to whether he's going to be fit enough to play. If he doesn't play, then I do think Liverpool might have a little bit of a problem, because if City control that midfield, and you know what, I think Liverpool would be quite happy for Man City to have more possession. It's about when they win the ball and they can play on that counter-attack. And if they can't win the ball enough to give service to those front three, I think there might be a problem. And I think Don's right. That midfield there in front of that back four, but the midfield's going to be the key.
It's just one of them. Your eyes, when you look at the quality of players on show, your eyes are transfixed everywhere. Because people at home are probably saying, what, Mo Salah up against Cancelo? That's a battle.
Yeah.
Sadio Mane or Diaz up against Kyle Walker? That's a battle. There's so much quality.
Leroy, just going back, the doubt over Jordan Henderson, is that tactically or fitness? Are you saying if he's fit, he starts, or you're not sure?
If he's fit, he starts.
OK, cool.
Absolutely. If he fits, he starts. And I think he'll do everything to make sure he does play. I do think, though, Naby Keita's a really good player, Thiago a really good player, but they're not as good without the ball, with Henderson not in the side. And that's a real problem, I think, for Liverpool, just to get the ball back off Man City. We saw what happened in the first game, and then as soon as Salah got into the game, then Liverpool got a kind of a foothold in the game. But Don's right, that Cancelo-Salah thing, we were saying before the game, look, on form, Salah doesn't play. Ridiculous thing to say, but absolutely true. But this could be the game where he comes back because he is that good. Cancelo has been one of the best attacking right-footed fullbacks I've ever seen. So it's who's going to be? Is Salah going to run back with Cancelo? Well, I don't think so. I think halfway line he might say, look, pass him on. Will Cancelo go all the way in? I promise you, Cancelo will go all the way in.
Do you think he goes with Jota, looking at the potential centre-backs for Man City, John Stones and Laporte, with their lack of pace over Firmino?
Yeah, look, I do think the thing with Stones and Laporte, I think they'll be quite happy to deal with that. I think the problem is when they get pulled into those midfield areas to create that space. And Firmino is so clever at that. And the other thing, Dom, talking about the midfield battle, what Firmino does really well playing there, he drops into midfield and he nicks the ball, from behind. So there's so many things that Klopp and Pep need to look at.
Are you glad we didn't ask you to do a combined starting 11 for this?
Well, he did.
No, I think that'd have been all right.
I was all right. I was quite happy with it.
Right. So you would have been happy.
Well,
you didn't have Salah in.
Yes, I did.
It's a fascinating matchup, and even over the last 4 or 5 seasons, I think that Manchester City, squad-wise, performance-wise, have been way ahead of everybody else. I think this is as close as the two squads and the two teams have been.
The 2-2 in the reverse fixture was epic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the standard. And you hear Pep talk about raising the bar. That's what these two teams have done.
I just disagree with one thing you said there. You said that Man City have been way ahead of everybody. They haven't been way ahead of Liverpool. Honestly, I think Liverpool...
They've only won 4 titles to 1.
I know, but I think Liverpool's performances have been... But Liverpool's won the Champions League in there as well. Liverpool's performance has been any other
It's
era.
the one team in world football Pep fears.
Yeah,
He's been open, he said it.
Exactly.
He said it years ago.